one thing that I like about both Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni is that they've been very talkative about their future plans with the Star Wars universe and where the franchise is going. They don't really necessarily leave the fans in the dark or leaving the fans questioning exactly what kind of path the overall Mandoverse and its surrounding shows are really going to go in. Now, here we have Bob Iger, alright, the guy that took over Bob Chapek, became the new Disney CEO. He's changing the roadmap of the Star Wars universe, focusing more on Star Wars films now, rather than just Star Wars TV shows, and how that's going to begin the process by 2023 and 2024, and how that's really going to lend itself to Bob Iger, allowing, of course, to create more of a cinematic universe, kind of similar to the Marvel Cinematic Universe in a way where you have multiple movies a year with also some shows on the side, basically. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way, guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, the one thing about Jon and Dave is that the one thing I've really got to give them a lot of credit for is the fact that these guys are really dedicated to their entire work. They're basically working around the clock, trying to make Star Wars as best as possible, bringing it to a level that we have never seen before, success-wise. And that's what they want to begin with in 2023. So, with that being said and all, the one major thing that a lot of fans have been very curious about is what's going on with the sequel trilogy lore. Now, we already know that a lot of sequel trilogy lore is getting shifted around and changed and retconned, whatever have you, by Jon and Dave. However, recently Bob Iger was actually questioned all about this, about resetting and restarting elements of the sequel trilogy here and there. And he had a couple of interesting things to say, nonetheless. Now, with both Disney and Lucasfilm getting ready to make some big announcements for the fans, creators Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have been making some very big decisions behind the scenes. Now, it's noted, however, that in a recent interview, Disney CEO Bob Iger responded to plans of resetting and replacing certain aspects of the Star Wars sequel trilogy when he was questioned about if he actually plans on doing anything like that. Iger stated the following to the fans: "This is a question that Mr. Favreau and Filoni receive all the time, and the one thing that I can put forward right now is that yes, both Jon and Dave have created a clever strategy to bring new meaning to our past films that we put in theaters. They are working on retelling some of the stories and rewriting some of what the fans like to call canon. We are working on ways that Jon and Dave could also canonize some of the deleted scenes that we left out from the Blu-ray and creating a plan on how we can bundle that all up into one story." So let me just pause here quick for a second about what Bob Iger is saying. Now, him talking about the deleted scenes, it absolutely alludes to what we talked about, is how they are currently crafting an extended cut of The Rise of Skywalker. Alright, we already talked about this, of how they want to release a 4-hour version or a near 4-hour version of the movie. It could be like 3 hours and 50 minutes for all we know. But nonetheless, a 4-hour cut of Episode 9, showcasing all of the deleted scenes in their particular order that would fit the story well and becoming canon. Now, there's a lot in there that is to be used, and that's exactly what Jon and Dave are also planning to do in order to kind of retell not just The Rise of Skywalker, but also elements of The Last Jedi. Now, we're not quite sure, because this has remained silent by the Disney board members, if whether or not they want to make this free on Disney Plus, or if it's going to be like a paid thing. We're not quite sure about that just yet. But I would imagine it would be free. I don't see why not. I mean, you're paying a subscription for that service. It should be able to be anything that gets posted on there, like a series or a movie, whatever, whatever have you. Now, the thing about this too is that Ian McDiarmid already talked about this before in the past, that there was so much Palpatine footage to work with that it could have been its own movie. I mean, that's how much they shot. Just think about that. And so much went to the wayside. So much went into the gutter that could have been used for a very good story. In fact, a lot of what was deleted was scenes that George Lucas was actually advising over J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio. He even directed a handful of moments in Episode 9. Moving on. Now, he goes on to say the following: John and Dave are working on a way to basically completely retell episodes 7 through 9 through new projects on Disney Plus and through our deleted scenes that we have in stock on the cutting room floor. It's a very detailed process that John and Dave pitched to me, and I am all for it as it sounds like something the fans are going to love. We will be announcing official details on this sometime by the middle of next year to provide more details on this project of ours. Now, before I get to the next major thing about this, Bob Iger, obviously, I think he's just really trying to turn things around at this point because he's back as the Disney CEO. He's got a lot of a mess to clean up. You know, Marvel's Phase 4 wasn't all that impressive to a lot of fans out there. It was okay. It really wasn't 100%, and he's got to bring that back with Phase 5. Same exact thing goes with Star Wars, right? We had quite a number of flops. A lot of fans did not give the best reception to the Boba Fett show, to the Kenobi series, and stuff like that. So 2023 is looking very bright. We have a lot of John and Dave oriented projects. The only one that they are not involved in, for the most part, is Skeleton Crew, which, by the way, comes out next year. They're projecting a fall of 2023 release. Now, the thing about this, too, about all these deleted scenes, which, by the way, include characters like Luke, Rey, Ben Solo, Palpatine, and a whole lot more for both movies, The Last Jedi and Episode 9. We haven't heard all that much about The Force Awakens just yet, but they are planning on extended cuts of both movies and putting that on either Disney Plus or working on a possible strategy to maybe even release them in theaters. That has been talked about between the board members. It's not really moving forward all that much, however. Now, the thing about this is that Iger really has a lot of things on his plate. He has been talking about all of the fixes that are coming our way with Star Wars, of how John and Dave are leading almost every project and that he has a lot of faith in them. He's basically picking up where Chapek left off, right? Chapek is the guy that really gave Favreau and Filoni these big-time promotions, giving them all these privileges over at Lucasfilm. And even Iger recently gave them a promotion about a week ago that really allows them to make certain decisions over the marketing, the budgeting, and just the roadmap in general of how it's going to be organized. So there's a lot on John and Dave's plate too. They got a lot to work with. They got a lot of things to be very careful with, mind you. They have to really make sure that they make the right calls here. They got to keep their reputation in play. And as long as they do that, they're solid. They're golden. They're going to do a very good job next year and beyond. You know, next year, by the way, is crucial because we're coming out of the Kenobi series that did not get well received. We're coming out of the Boba Fett show that did not get well received. Generally speaking, of course. It has its fans, and that's okay, but we have to have a successful flow, a consistent flow of Star Wars shows that agree with the majority in order to really convince fans that it is back up and full and running. So anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about all this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.